Good morning and welcome to draw number 5 of the 2025 Curling Alberta's Optimist U18 Provincial Championship. We have a jam-packed day. We are already a whole bunch of games in, and we are ready for some exciting matchups across our sheets. But our featured game today is between Team McGriskin out of the Grande Prairie Curling Club and Team Desormeau out of the Beaumont and Red Deer Curling Club. My name is Evan Asmussen, and I am joined by Kate Ector and Kaylee Raniseth, and we're going to be providing you commentary for our feature game today. Ladies, welcome to the commentary. Welcome to our provincial championship. And we have a matchup here that is very important for both teams, as Team Desormeau is looking to pull their lead in the standings, currently sitting at 3-1. And Team McGriskin hoping to maintain their record at a 1-3 loss. That 3 losses is key and important, as it is a page playoff with the top 4 teams going into it. First rocks here for Jordan Burnstead as we get into first end action. Ladies, welcome. Happy New Year. And talk to us a little bit about the event this week so far.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, the U18 Provincials is a really interesting event because the curlers are so young and all of them have these big hopes and dreams. And as we're getting into later into the week, things start to sort themselves out a little bit more, kind of the top 4 versus the bottom 4. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how the standings lay after this draw.
Now, both of you are 2 of Alberta's just incredible curlers, and you've been through this process of playdowns and provincial championships, and you know exactly what it's like to be in this position. With a 3-1 record for Desormeau, what are they trying to maintain today as they're looking for not only this game, but the 2 games ahead of them on our Saturday of play?
I think just for Desormeau, you don't want to drop to that 3 loss. Like, that's tough. So just staying strong, keeping the momentum going. That's the most important part. You start off with a few wins and then you kind of get comfortable in your skin, and you just got to keep working it and stay focused, stay strong, and keep it going throughout the week.
Now, thinking of Desormeau at 3-1, and you talked a little bit about them trying to maintain that lead on the standings. How might we see them address this game and this first end of play that seems a little bit open so far?
Yeah, I think they're probably trying to just get their feet under themselves again. Even though they've been on the ice all week, it's still nice to just kind of play that first end open and get a little bit comfortable out there again. I think it'll be important for them to make sure the game is close and just give themselves the opportunity to win the game. And that's kind of what they want to continue to do throughout the rest of the week to make sure they kind of secure a playoff spot.
Now, Team McGriskin sitting at 1-3, winning and picking up their first win last night. Sitting at 1-3, that we mentioned that 3 losses in the standings can kind of be where our backs are up against the wall. How might Siobhan McGriskin address today's game so that she has an opportunity to keep her team in it for the rest of the week and looking towards the playoff opportunity tomorrow?
I think they'll play it pretty clean, pretty safe, but going for those opportunities when they get it. If they have a few misses out of Desormeau, I think they're going to put their, be strong, play good, have a good setup, and then they'll hopefully get those chances and those misses will come, and then hopefully they can just capitalize back on it.
So we see Livy Maximitz just over curling on that out-turn hit at the back of the forefoot. Let's go through our lineups for today. For Team McGriskin, we have Siobhan McGriskin, our skip. We have Kaylee Sparks at third, Livy Maximitz at second, Jordan Burnstead at lead, Rob Maximitz, the coach, and they're representing the Grande Prairie Curling Club. They're throwing our red rocks today and throwing our yellow stones. And up right now is Team Desormeau with skip Abby Desormeau. Third, Julia Kennedy. Second, Molly Whitbread. Lead is Savannah Dutka. And their alternate, Cameron Adams, coach Glenn Kennedy. They're representing the Beaumont Red Deer Curling Club. And we do recognize that there is a little bit of a lineup change for Team Desormeau. Ladies, do you want to fill us in on that?
Yeah, so Julia Kennedy is injured. So they do have Cameron Adams stepping up. I believe she's throwing the second stones, and then Molly Whitbread is going to be throwing those third stones. So a little bit of a switch up for that team, and we'll see them compete.
And to no avail, that team switch up is obviously paying dividends as their record right now is 3-1. So they've obviously found some magic in the makeup of what they've got going so far. As we see Livy Maximitz with her second stone at the end, looking to attempt the double and to clean up some of the yellows at the back of the rings. Just missing on the outside there. A little bit maybe of an overthrow, but no worries as they're getting comfortable, though the yellow rocks are starting to pile up here. Fortunate for McGriskin, they are with the hammer in this first end after the draw to the button, leaving them with the last stone advantage.
Yeah, Molly has a good opportunity here to put some pressure on Team McGriskin by making a rock top 12 or even a guard.
So we saw Livy Maximitz miss those two hits there just along the center line. And obviously, a key part of the game here early on is to understand the ice conditions and to get familiar. And it's a little bit challenging in that first end, trying to not only keep things clean and to meet your end objective, but when you're playing those paths for the very first time, sometimes things just go a little awry.
Yeah, it looks like that center line path is being especially tricky for them this morning.
So, Kaylee, one of the things that these teams would now have had a ton of opportunity and time to spend with their coaches on is understanding the sheet and the conditions that they're playing in. Have you noticed anything in particular throughout the duration of the week with these ice conditions that maybe is something that these teams will need to pick up on as they move through these 8 ends of play?
Not necessarily something that really stands out to me. They are getting quite a bit less curl. Like the broom is into the 8 foot for that out of the center line kind of path, but it is finishing lots. So just making sure that the teams aren't overcalling that line to curl it early and then it hit the break point and start moving too much, curling too much. I think just something super important is being patient, waiting for that break point, and then calling if they need to curl it.
So we have Kaylee Sparks' last stone here in the first end, looking to make the run back and try to get rid of a couple of yellow stones at it. And again, Kate, just being caught on that center line, a little bit of curl coming down off of that outside in towards and across.
Yeah.
So we're getting our first look here in today's matchup at Abby Desormeau as she looks to put a little bit of pressure on McGriskin with the last stone and kind of cover up those two rocks at the back of the 4-foot. You know, Kate and Kaylee, I've played a little bit, but we always have to consider our opposition and giving them the most challenging shot at the in their last rock at the end of every end. And you never want to see a difficult shot, especially in the first end of play. But it looks like Team Desormeau is super comfortable early with the sheet and the conditions so far.
Yeah, it's nice to see them come into this with a bit of a relaxed posture. I think that makes a big difference if you're able to just kind of go out there and trust that you know the ice and trust that you know how to throw the rocks. And I think that's really helping them out in this first end.
So Abby finding the line there, perfectly covering those two rocks at the back of the forefoot. However, slides maybe a little bit deep and gives Siobhan McGriskin a really good opportunity to make a double and clear a couple of stones out of the rings, but most importantly, make some space in the forefoot to score this end. First stone for Siobhan McGriskin here, looking to make some movement. It looks like she found a good spot here with the broom, avoiding the over curl. There goes one. And Jordan Burns said, just trying to sweep that rock out, doesn't quite remove two stones out of play, but is able to get all three stones off the center line. What a great result for Siobhan McGriskin as she looks to be able to score here in the first end.
Yeah, that
I
was
think
really
that
crucial
shot-
to opening it up.
Yeah, that was key. Even if Desormeau does make a nice hit, they have the whole 4-foot open, most of the 8-foot for her to just draw right in. That was a really great shot.
Now, we do have our first coach interaction. For those of our viewers who aren't 100% sure about the rules of U18 play, there are some nuances that are a little bit different than adult play. You'll recognize that the two coaches for each team are sitting behind the sheet, just in front of the scoreboard there. And once an end, they're able to interact with their team in a coach's interaction. So it's not quite a timeout. They're only able to have that conversation once in the end and then in the transition between ends. But it gives an opportunity for these teams as they're developing to have those conversations, to clarify while they're also taking in the event and having a million other things to think about. So a great opportunity for Team Desormeau to check in with Glenn Kennedy. So last stone for Abby Desormeau as she is looking to remove that red stone, makes contact, does find that curl along the center line, jams it into her own and leaves a bundle of yellow stones just off to the left as we see it on our screen. Overall objective met for Team Desormeau and a little bit of early pressure for Team McGriskin. And it looks like they're electing to hit this stone, Kaylee and Kate. Ideas, thoughts on this in the first end? What might be going through Siobhan's mind as she's selected this hit over potentially drawing to the button for her single point?
Yeah, she's had her team throw quite a few hits this end, so they're probably maybe feeling more comfortable with it than they are draws. It really just comes down to what she thinks has a better chance of making. So yeah, taking the hit here in the first end is a safe choice. Definitely nothing wrong with that.
Another thing too you look at is yellow is sitting 3. You miss the draw completely, they're getting 3. You miss the hit, you might either clip one out, they're only getting 2, or you're jamming on one of the other ones to kind of reduce the score.
So just like that, Siobhan McGriskin with her last stone throws it a little bit wide, is able to remove one of the yellows. It is a steal of one for Team Desormeau as we head into the second end. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with you in Leduc, Alberta in just a hot second.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
We welcome you back to Draw 5 of the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist U18 Provincial Championship here in Leduc, Alberta. And if you are watching us live or watching us recorded, you have found us through Curling Stadium Live, either through Curling Alberta's YouTube page or through Curling Zone in the link of the event. My name is Evan Asmussen. I'm joined today by Ector and Kaylee Raniseth. We're your color commentary for today. And our feature game is against, we have Team Desormeau against Team McGriskin, with Desormeau taking an early lead after a steal of one in the first end. First end jitters are out of the way now, Kate and Kaylee. McGriskin looks to have been settled in now. They had a big pressure shot at the end there. But we did talk a little bit about plan Bs at the end of that end and thinking about some of the tolerances or the best outcomes. Plan Bs are going to be important this game to keep in the back of our mind, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely at the U18 level, the plan Bs are huge. I really still at any level, if you can throw your shot and make the most of it, whether it was thrown perfectly or not, that's really going to make a difference in how many games you win versus how many you lose.
So Savannah Deca making an open hit there and just rolling out. Now, one thing our viewers will notice that is unique to Team McGriskin is that they actually have Jordan Burnstead, who throws the lead stones in the house. Now, Jordan is extremely young, but obviously... extremely young compared to much of the field here, but obviously extremely knowledgeable as she was able to manipulate and manage that plan B shot there. And what an excellent outcome for Team McGriskin as they were facing 3 in that final stone of the first end. Now, Kate and Kaylee, you've played in events like this, and you're no stranger to levels of competition. And this event is pretty unique because we have teams here who are not only competing at the U18 championship this weekend, but they'll also be vying for a U20 position too as well, provincial championship. And some of them are even playing in U15s. So talk to us a little bit about the range of the field and how exciting that is for some of these players as they map out their season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important. I always say to play up. You're never learning in a win. You're mostly learning when you have those losses and you're seeing older teams and how they compete. So I think for all of the younger teams here at the competition, if they're playing in U15s as well, this U18 gives them a lot of experience. They get to see what the older kids are doing, as well as bringing that back to their U15 so that they can be more knowledgeable, more equipped in those games. Here for the U18 teams that are also playing in U20, they're also playing up. So they're competing in their age category, but then when they go to the U20s, it's just so that when they get up there, they can see new things, see what the teams are doing when they get older. And then too, it's not as big of a jump when you go from U18 to U20, or if they're going from U15 to U18s. Not that big jump. They've seen the teams before.
Cameron Adams being asked to remove this red stove. Open play here in the second end. Maybe a little bit more congested with some of those misses from Team McGriskin in the first end than they wanted. So we are seeing some open play here as the team still continue to manage the sheet. Kaylee and Kate, at the start of our production, we were talking a little bit about the differences between men's and ladies, boys and girls sides and strategies and how they approach the game. And for our viewers at home who can hear but aren't necessarily seeing it, the Leduc Curling Club has many sheets, and there's both boys and girls provincials being played at the same time. and tons of viewers behind the sheets, of course. But that is something that's also a part of the environment, is recognizing that there is the ladies field and the men's field playing synonymously too as well. Are you noticing any differences between what our U18 boys are experiencing in their tactics and in their strategy versus our U18 girls and their tactics and strategies? Or is there pretty much an alignment between the two groups?
I do think there's definitely a bit of a difference. When boys strategy and girls strategy does tend to differ a little bit, you'll just see boys maybe opt for a hit more often when girls might opt for a draw. And it's not every shot, obviously, like there's still lots of hits in the girls game that we're currently watching, but some of those like big shots and some of the strategy overall might differ in being a bit more aggressive in the female game and a little bit more defensive in the male game.
And that really plays into shot selection here, and probably why we're seeing a couple of open ends for both Desormeau and McGriskin. But these teams would know their teammates they play all season. There is an exceptional tour opportunity at the U18, U20, and U15 level, way more opportunity for our athletes to compete. But we are reminded that these are young and developing athletes. And specifically on McGriskin's team, we have 17-year-olds and also 12-year-olds on the same team. So shot selection is super important, as we recognize that some of these athletes are in different spots, not only in their adolescence and in their growth, but also in their development too as well overall.
Yeah, you definitely need to learn to call a game for your team and kind of get away. Like a lot of people at the U18 level might think that they should just call the game how you see the skips on TV call the game, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. You're going to win more games calling shots that you think your teammates will make and like playing to your strengths versus playing the big shots all the time.
So, Kate, for some of our viewers, they would see these open ends and go, oh, another open end, simple shots. But there is an advantage to playing some of these open ends for some of these teams early on in the game, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. It's a really long game, so it's really good to kind of save your energy sometimes for those later ends, and just kind of get your good sense of the ice. For Team McGriskin, after having a couple misses in the first end, it's nice to get your confidence back by just making some of these simple shots here in the second end.
So Kaylee Sparks being asked to remove that stone and just under curling. Just missing the stone on the high side, leaving that Desormeau stone on the top of the forefoot on the center line with an opportunity again for Abby Desormeau to put a little bit of pressure. We're going to see a coach's interaction between Glenn Kennedy, and it looks like Glenn Kennedy is going to take advantage of his conversations each and every end, which I think is a huge advantage for all teams to take on as they're mapping out each end for their gameplay. So it looks like Glenn Kennedy was just making sure that Abby knew the depth and where that rock needs to specifically be. What's an ideal position for this stone here?
I think ideally you either want a tight guard just out of the rings or even just a guard right in the top 12, kind of put a little bit more pressure on the opposing team. And then if you're just short of the house, trying to be as close as you can just so that there's either a short run back or there's no chance for them to ever chase behind that guard.
First stone here in the second end for Abby Desormeau. Molly Whitbread in the house calling the line, queuing up her sweepers. So far, so good. A nice, easy brush in, looking to get a little bit of depth and a little bit of finish sweep. And that rock is managed perfectly right in front of that stone at the top of the four. Well done.
Yeah, that is a nice spot, especially it is high enough too that if they do make any kind of run back they won't be rolling into the rings, which is a nice advantage for Team Desormeau.
So now if I'm Siobhan McGriskin here and I'm seeing that rock being perfectly placed and the run back double being a little bit of a difficult shot, would she ever maybe change objectives and try to draw around that situation at the top of the forefoot?
Yeah, it's tough. You could look at that for sure. It's a pretty small scoring zone. So if she's feeling really confident with her draw weight, that's definitely not a bad idea. But on her, using her first rock to try to open it up isn't a bad idea either, knowing that she still has a second rock here to make sure they score.
Livy Maximit's on the curl sweep, trying to get that just to the center line here, and run
Very
back,
nice.
makes contact. Wow, incredible shot by Siobhan McGriskin, incredible sweep by Livy Maximit. The double takeout is made, and Team Desormeau looking to replace that stone at the top of the four. Final stone for Abby Desormeau here in the second end, looking to cut the scoring area down for Siobhan McGriskin.
So they slid a little bit deeper than they may have wanted on that one, but still definitely accomplished their goal of getting the force here in the second end.
So coach's interaction by Rob Maximitz here for Team McGriskin. Walking through this shot with his team, what is some of the information he might have presented for Siobhan and for Jordan as she heads down to throw this stone?
Probably related a little bit back to practice about draw to the button, what they kind of seen in this path, if this was the side that they ended up playing on, or going back to what Team Desormeau did, their path, if it was their side of the button, and kind of like the times referring back to that, just so that she has a good idea of what this rock will do.
Siobhan McGriskin with her last stone here and the hammer in the second end, looking to score a single point and tie this game up. Line looks okay, but I think we have a heavy call by the sweepers, trying to get a little bit out of it. This stone is going to slide by and right through the rings. It is another steal of one for Team Desormeau. 2-0 lead as we head into the commercial break. We'll see you back here for third end action at our U18 Provincial Championship.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
So we are back in action here at the third end of the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist Provincial Championship. Our feature game between Team Abby Desormeau and Team Siobhan McGriskin. 2-0 lead so far for Team Desormeau. And there are a ton of sheets going on here throughout our event so far today. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an update so we can have our viewers informed of what's going on along our sheets today. On sheet B, we have Lila Cooey versus Kieran Roa, and Roa has an early lead of 1-0 over Team Cooey. We have Emma DeSkiffert versus Sierra Wyatt. Emma DeSkiffert with an early steal of 3 in the first end on sheet C. We have Elena Yurko versus Darby McMillan. Elena Yurko starting with the hammer and taking a 1-0 lead so far there. Now, Kate and Kaylee, this is an 8-team, 7-game round robin with a 4-team page playoff system, meaning the top 4 teams make it to playoff Sunday, that is tomorrow. And our standings do really matter in this event, as you don't kind of want to drop below that 3 loss in that loss section.
Yeah, it's definitely a long week, especially for young athletes. It makes a difference for teams that have played in these provincials and week-long competitions before, that they're a little bit more used to it. So you definitely kind of have to learn how to manage your games and manage those losses to make it into the playoff spots.
I had a conversation yesterday while I was on site with Rob Maximitz, just in projection for today's broadcast. And we were having a little bit of a conversation about that 7-game round robin and how important it is to treat every game as its own individual game, but also too as well that each game matters. And though there is that long week, and you think that 7 games is a lot, but truly each game does matter when we're thinking about a record moving forward into the playoffs, and a winning record at that.
Yeah, definitely.
So a change of tactics here for Siobhan McGriskin, asking Jordan to throw the corner guard. It does slip in, but we are seeing a little bit more of some offensive play here in our third end. The shift in strategy, what might entice that for Team McGriskin?
I think here now it's the third end. You're down 2. They wouldn't mind getting a couple, being tied, going into 4. So I think just kind of putting the pressure on, letting Abby Desormeau's team make more shots, forcing them into some tougher situations rather than just open hits out of the forefoot.
Yeah, in the first 2 ends, McGriskin wasn't really able to accomplish their goal. So now they're kind of able to look at it coming at the end in a different way and trying something new and seeing if they can generate some points here.
And an opportunity presented for Team McGriskin as Savannah Gutka misses that open hit over off to the wing. Siobhan asking Livy Maximitz now to throw up the corner guard and cover up that red stone there in the side of the 12-foot. Now this red stone here in the 12-foot, it's not shot, and that yellow stone is at the top of the 4-foot. Why might they choose to ignore that?
Well, you have a lot of rocks left in this end still, and if you're trying to generate multiple points here, you don't want to worry too much about those rocks that might be shot right now, because in 6 rocks, if it isn't shot, it won't really be a problem anymore. So I think they're just trying to get themselves set up here to maybe score more than 1, and we'll worry about the rock that's fighting the top 4 a little bit later.
Abby Desormeau asking Cameron Adams to peel off this corner guard. She did suggest playing to the center, but quickly changed her mind there, recognizing that those stones out to the left of our screen are in ideal position for Team McGriskin.
Nice that they were able to sit in the rings there too. And
So this is a little reminiscent of the first end, isn't it? Where those yellow rocks slowly started to pile up. Now yellow is only sitting the one shot stone. It looked like Siobhan was going to throw the corner guard, but a coach's interaction enticed her to make this hit and roll. Why the hit and roll versus the corner guard?
I guess if they can put this rock in a bit of a different spot, you might see Desormeau play a new path. Oh, this will make them lay 2. So as long as you can keep from setting up a double, then you have a good chance at scoring your 2 here.
So Livy Maximitz with the hit and roll opportunity over curls and rolls out underneath, leaving Desormeau the opportunity to hit this stone out on our left side and sit 2. Now we are starting to notice that there's quite a bit of curl coming across the center line there. And that's something that our athletes are going to need to pick up on, but also maybe is something that the coaches will bring forward in their end-to-end interaction or that transition time too, as they help the teams navigate the paths on the ice.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful to get that reminder from your coach from time to time.
And a great hit and roll back to the back of the button. An open end here, but Siobhan McGriskin now having to change a little bit of her tactics to try to navigate these 2 yellow stones in the rings. Kaylee Sparks with her first stone here in the third end. So just hits and rolls out there for Kaylee Sparks. Now, Kaylee and Siobhan are 17 years old, significantly older than Livia and Jordan, but they are not just curlers. They play and do a variety of other activities and sports too as well. And you know, Kate and Kaylee, how important it is to also have other experiences just outside of curling and those other skills that can be transferable into the sport too as well.
Yeah, I think it's super important to be on other team sports just so that they get an idea of communication. I mean, with a softball or a hockey team, you have 14 to 20 different players on your team, whereas curling, there's only 4. So really dialing in on communication is super important. And you don't really see that a lot in softball, but you can end up bringing some of that knowledge from softball or other sports into curling.
So draw to the top of the 12-foot for Molly Whitbread, and we see Kaylee Sparks with her last stone here in the third end being asked to make the hit and roll on this rock at the top of the 12. And does get a little bit of a flip on the other side of the center line and is sitting shot stone for the moment. Kate, we are early on in the game. It is only the third end. And for our viewers at home, these games are only 8 ends versus the 10 end play we might see in other levels of curling. But that 8th end quickly arrives as the teams are moving their way through the ends. How does the scoreboard come into play here now that Desormeau has the 2-point advantage here playing the third end?
Yeah, I think Desormeau is really starting to think about the position that they will be going into in the 4th end here. They're set up really nice to get a force this end currently if they can make their next 2 shots. And I think they'd be pretty happy with that position to go into the 4th, having hammer and an even end up 1. That's a nice place to be. You're definitely start to think about it at this point in the game.
So it's safe to say that Desormeau would be pretty okay with McGriskin scoring one here and closing that point gap so that the ends work out in Team Desormeau's favor.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be their goal. Of course, if they end up stealing again, I'm sure they'd be happy with that too, but a force is very good for them.
And probably contrary thinking too for Siobhan McGriskin as she's navigating this game. She is only down 2 points on the scoreboard. And some of our viewers or some other athletes might be looking at this yellow rock biting the top of the 12 and seeing it as a guard and an opportunity to sink a red one behind. Why might she be playing this hit rather than choosing the draw?
Again, it could be comfortable for her to play a hit rather than but again, she is only down 2. Getting one isn't in a horrible situation, but you don't want to get them or Desormeau to steal again. You want to go into the fourth end having scored a point if possible.
Yeah, if McGriskin can narrow the point gap and only be down 1, that's only 1 steal away from being tied. So that's not a bad spot for them to be in either.
So Siobhan McGriskin with her first stone here in the third end removes the yellow stone out of play, but does roll her shooter out off to the side, but not out of play, as Desormeau is going to have another coach interaction here for the end with Glenn Kennedy. So Kate and Kaylee, we talked about the coaches being accessible for these coach interactions, but a variety of these coaches, if not all of them, bring a wealth of experience and knowledge to the game. Glenn Kennedy competing in a couple of Briars out of the Northwest Territories, and Robbie Maximitz for years being one of the best players in our province, especially during his prime. They both bring a ton of experience. How important is it to have that resource, a knowledgeable resource, sitting behind the sheet for both these teams and for all the teams at this event?
I think just for these young teams, it's hard to think about every single path in the ice, single opportunity shot. So just having a coach behind them that can kind of narrow their focus, help them struggle and think through some of their challenges that they might have is super valuable. And I always think it's better to learn in the actual game than thinking about it after the game and thinking about different opportunities. So I think this is super great to have these coaches' interactions.
So Abby Desormeau here with her last stone in the third and looking to split the rings. Sweepers are recognizing it's a little bit heavy, but it looks like it's going to slow down just below the tee line into the back of the 12 and open rings for Siobhan McGriskin. We'll see what she chooses. So it does look like Jordan has her broom down for the hit on this back one. Again, it looks like Siobhan is super comfortable playing those hits. However, for most of the game, Siobhan has been hitting along the center line. So this is kind of that first look for Siobhan out into the wings.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty similar path to where she was hitting on her last rock in the first end. So hopefully they can remember that and remember how she threw that.
Siobhan McGriskin with her last stone here in the third end, looking to score and to get her team up on the board. Outside sweep to make it curl a little bit. And it looks like she did just that. Great shot by Team McGriskin, and it is a single point going up on the board. Desormeau is going to take a 2-1 lead going into the fourth end. We'll be back with you after our commercial break.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
We welcome you back to the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist U18 Provincial Championship. My name is Evan Asmussen. I am joined today by two incredible athletes and color commentators in Kate Ector and Kaylee Raniseth. We do have points on the board for both teams. Desormeau taking a small 2-1 lead going into the fourth end. We do have 8 ends of play. We are at the halfway point so far here. And again, another open end here being played by both teams as McGriskin throws their first one back 8. And Desormeau electing to hit this open stone with Cameron Adams. JK, Savannah Detka. So do you think that maybe now I'm just going to be wild here. So entertain me for a little bit, Kate and Kaylee. But we did talk about the 3-1 record and the 1-3 record. And today, playoffs will almost be determined. We'll have a very good picture, at least, of what our playoffs are going to look like on the ladies' side, though there might be some fine tuning. And we do have Desormeau in a position to maintain a lead on the standings here with the win this morning. And we do have McGriskin kind of in a precarious position with that 3 losses in the loss side. Now, do you think after we've seen the first half of this game so far that some of that might be coming into play?
Yeah, definitely could. In these later days, nerves can definitely come into play. And so can confidence, right? Desormeau's been able to kind of build up confidence with 3 wins, and you can kind of see that with how they throw and just with how they're playing. They are able to keep it open, and they've been able to score with these open ends. So they're probably feeling pretty good with this style of play, and they're going to keep doing it. And then for McGriskin, they're in a bit of a spot where they're kind of do or death maybe with that 3 losses. So just playing into a little bit of nerves and getting that pressure on them.
Now, also, Kate and Kaylee, both of these teams had a different pathway to this provincial championship. Team Desormeau took one of the qualifying spots out of the Otwell qualifier in December, and Team McGriskin took the one spot that was available in Grande, Prairie. And we do recognize that our province is super vast, with qualifiers trying to meet the needs of our teams in the north, central, and south. And both of these teams come with a great pedigree of great accomplishments. McGriskin with the Arctic Winter Games and the Alberta Winter Games and U18 championships. Desormeau with U15, U18, and U20 experience. But they did come through different qualifiers, and they may not have the experience with one another as competitors. Do you think that might also be a part of their strategy here today as they look to navigate not only the sheet, but one another too as well?
Yeah, I think that comes into play a little bit. Both teams are probably looking at the other team's strengths, weaknesses, kind of trying to play. I mean, with Desormeau being more central Alberta and McGriskin being more of that northern Alberta, Grande Prairie area, they probably don't see a lot of these other teams, whereas Desormeau sees a lot more of these teams.
Now, that's not to be confused, of course, with the opportunity that's available in the province in each area. The Grande Prairie area and the Peace region has a ton of opportunity to play with their Peace Curling Tour. And I know that McGriskin has taken the opportunity to travel to as well and to play in events and also attend some of the camps that are available across the province, like the Alberta Rocks Curling Camp and the Kevin Martin Curling Camp too as well. So not for a lack of opportunity, but there are tons of teams as we see in this event. These are only 8 teams, boys and girls, that are here playing this weekend, but the qualifiers were well attended across the province. So Cameron Adams being asked to remove that McGriskin stone and just gets caught on the outside, just sneaking by and missing contact with that red rock. And McGriskin now has an opportunity without the hammer to apply a little bit of pressure to Team Desormeau. And kind of that first look at McGriskin having a little bit of control here in the fourth end.
Yeah, it's going to be super important for them to capitalize on this, and that's going to make a big difference. Try to make Desormeau look at a bit of a harder shot than they've had to look at in the first three ends.
So Kaylee Sparks here with her first rock in the fourth end. Looking to draw to the house, I believe, was the initial call. As we have Livy Maximitz and Jordan Bernstead here on this sweep. Maybe as it lands just corner frozen. Not about outcome, sitting 2 in the rings, but definitely leaves the double there for Desormeau. So Molly Whitbread just missing the double opportunity there, rearranging the stones at the top of the house and pushing that one stone, splitting the tee line. And McGriskin again with an opportunity here to apply some pressure to Team Desormeau and splitting the rings. Now Kaylee just drew to the top of the house on her first one, so she should have a pretty good idea of how to get there, even though this is a little bit of a different path. Jordan Bernstead and Livy Maximitz guiding that stone even at the back of the tee line there. Do not be fooled by size. Those two young athletes in Jordan and Livy have incredible sweeping technique. And Kate and Kaylee, the sweeping has become a huge part of the game. And it looks like many of these teams had taken advantage of learning that skill very, very well, as sweeping has transformed the game here in not only our province, but across all facets of curling.
Yeah, I think really if teams can hone in on the sweeping techniques, a lot more shots can be made just with a little bit more sweeping technique. And it's incredible the amount that teams know and have learned.
Somalia Whitbread making the open hit there on the stone in the forefoot. Siobhan McGriskin looking to replace it with her own red stone. But has to be a little bit careful here. I know she's trying to apply some pressure to Desormeau by sitting 2. But position here with this shooter stone does matter. Trying not to set up a double attempt back or even a hit and roll attempt back by Desormeau.
Yeah, she definitely has room to roll a bit to the away side here. If she ends up in the 12 foot, that's still getting your force. So they're not in a bad spot here.
So good pressure sweep by Kaylee Sparks there as that rock does make contact, but rolls closer to that red stone, clustering them a bit, and a double opportunity available now for Abby. Abby Desormeau with her opening stone here in the fourth end of play, looking to make that double, or if not, make a hit and roll and to sit shot stone. And that was always an option there, as those stones were just a little bit staggered, making contact on the high side of that, but not thin enough to catch the double. Catches a little bit of the top of that second stone and rolls out of play. So what kind of pressure now would you like to see McGriskin put on Desormeau? There's a couple of options here, but what kind of pressure do you think might put them in a good position to maybe steal, if not get another miss out of Abby Desormeau?
I think if she puts this in a really good spot, just at the top of the 8 foot, kind of biting that 4 foot, to where if Abby hits that stone that she just threw, she won't be shot, just forcing Abby into maybe a wider draw path or trying to hit and roll off that back.
Siobhan McGriskin, last stone here of the fourth end for Team McGriskin, trying to apply some pressure to Abby Desormeau and narrow that gap, if not force to one. So maybe sliding a little deep as it comes to the top button. And a coach's interaction for Team Desormeau as they get ready to throw their last stone here in the fourth end. And for those viewers who are tuning into our game and electing not to watch the mixed doubles going on for our Olympic trials, it is the fifth end of Peterman Gallant. Peterman being, of course, a native to our province, but also from Alberta herself, their husband Brett Gallant, taking on Rachel Homan and Brendan Botcher. Now, you might be running multiple screens at your home if you have that privilege and luxury, but it is a 6-1 lead so far for Team Peterman Gallant as they're looking to secure an Olympic spot in mixed doubles. Abby Desormeau with her last stone in the fourth end, looking to score her single point. Sweepers do like it here in the house. Molly Whippard calling for the sweep. Curl makes contact, but just rolls a little too far, and it is a single steal for Team McGriskin. Folks, we have a tie game going into the fourth end break. We'll be back with you in a few minutes at our halfway point.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
For over 20 years, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has granted more than $9 million to hospitals across Canada for life-saving equipment for premature and critically ill babies. In the past 4 years alone, $4 million has been granted thanks to the curling community's incredible generosity. The need continues year-round, and with your help, we can ensure every baby has the chance to grow up and become a champion, just like Sandra.
Don't forget your brooms.
You got it!
Come on up. Okay, well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
So we are at our fourth end break here in Leduc, Alberta. Our teams have a 5-minute opportunity to catch their breath, to check in with one another, check in with their coaches, and to reevaluate their game plan as they take on the second half of this important feature game between Abby Desormeau and Siobhan McGriskin. For those of you who are listening in or who have stepped away from their screen but are going to come back to it, there are multiple games going on across the Leduc Curling Club. Every team plays every draw, and we have all 8 girls teams playing. Our standings so far, rather than a game update, would like to present to you here by Curling Alberta and Curling Stadium. Our standings go as such, with Team Deschiffer sitting by themselves at 4-0 at the top of our standings without a loss. They're on the ice today. Team Desormeau in our feature game is joined by Team Yurko and Team Kui, all at 3-1, looking to stay at the top of the leaderboard. And as it sits, if all 4 of those teams happen to pull off a win, those would be our 4 teams potentially into Sunday's page playoff. We have Team Roa, Wyatt, and McGriskin at 3 losses, sitting at a 1-3 record, and Team McMillan looking to pick up their first win of the event, sitting at an 0-4 record too as well. Now, if you aren't clicking around on your screen or you haven't been looking at curlingalberta.ca/competitions, follow the score, or through Curling Zone, I will give you that game matchup and the scores for each sheet. On sheet A is our feature game, and we have Abby Desormeau and Siobhan McGriskin tied 2 apiece. On sheet B, we have Kieran Roa taking an early lead of 2-1 against Lila Cooey. We have Emma Deschiffer extending out her lead with a 5-2 lead so far against Sierra Wyatt. And Elena Yurko is currently up 3-0 over Darby McMillan with a steal of 2 in the second end to extend her lead by 3. So tons of great games going on as we enter here into our 5th end of play at the halfway mark. If you are curious about the men's side, you can join in on the other feature game here on Curling Alberta or through Curling Stadium, or you can take a look at Follow the Score through Curling Alberta's webpage. So as we begin our 5th end of play, you see both skips talking to their respective coaches as they walk down the sheet. Of course, that transition time, you are able to talk to your coaches and have conversations, and you do have those coaches' interactions between and in the ends too as well. So tons of opportunity for these teams to frame up the last 4 ends. We see a tie game. Kate and Kaylee, I'm joined alongside you here for color commentary. And a turn of events. We had seen a 2-0 lead for Team Desormeau in the first 2 ends, and now we're all tied up. What are you noticing here after these first 4 ends between Desormeau and McGriskin?
I think for the first 2 ends, it was really Team Desormeau capitalizing and putting a lot of pressure on Team McGriskin. But now Team McGriskin feeling just a little bit more comfortable, getting a little bit more familiar with the ice, the paths, the weight, kind of putting a lot more pressure on Team Desormeau to pick it up and make sure that they're still making their shots the best of their abilities.
And I love that you talk about the team comfortability because, of course, we recognize already in our broadcast today that these teams don't play against each other frequently. So they're missing a little bit of that information. But of course, these teams play significantly throughout the year. And it doesn't go at any fault to them that it takes a little bit of time to get used to the sheet because, of course, they're playing across this large vicinity, across all these sheets too as well. And each sheet does end up having its own little nuances. There are some consistent aspects, but there are some parts of the sheet that are a little bit different. So it does take time for these teams, and they are working extremely hard to capture that information, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
So Jordan Burnstead throwing her first rock just a little bit heavy into the back of the 8-foot, and Savannah Detka throwing up the corner guard. We are seeing a little bit more of aggressive play out of both teams here as the score is tied up. Jordan Burnstead with a great draw over to the side of the house, keeping play away from that corner guard. Now, Kate and Kaylee, I'm a big fan of TSN pulling out their key matchups or their focuses of the game, and we usually see a position or a positional matchup that might come into play or we might be watching as commentators. And is there anything that's jumping out to your eye here in this game that is kind of a key to our matchup between Desormeau and McGriskin so far after 4 ends of play?
Well, I definitely say Skip. Like McGriskin has really pulled out some really great shots, especially early on in the first and second end, to narrow down how much Desormeau was able to score in those ends when they were capitalizing on some of the misses from Team McGriskin. So that's been a big one for sure.
Now, one thing I have to mention is how impressed I am so far with Siobhan McGriskin and her, I guess, pressure shot capacity. She's made some incredible doubles, some incredible runbacks, and even then in the last end too, being able to put her final stone in a very precise position that required Abby Desormeau to be very precise herself on her final rock and getting the benefit of the steal in that last end.
Yeah, I would say she's making a big difference in this game.
So Cameron Adams making the open hit and rolling behind the tee line, but catching a little bit of coverage by that corner guard placed by Savannah Detka early on in the end. And Siobhan McGriskin is going to be asking Livy Maximets here with her final stone in the 5th end to be able to catch as much as she can see. Now, we've been noticing that there's been significant curl from our right side across the center line as we see it. And so I wonder if we're going to see this broom and this turn run a little bit straighter. Jordan being asked to curl sweep here, trying to get that rock to climb over the center line. It looks like it's got just the right weight to be able to capture just a small piece of it. Touches a small corner of that yellow stone and just nudges it further behind the corner guard. An opportunity for Desormeau to draw behind the corner guard and sit 2.
Yeah, it looks like you called it there, Evan. It's just maybe not moving quite as much that way as it is the other way.
So Kaylee, Jason Ginter and I were on the call yesterday, and we did talk a little bit about how important it is for these teams to take advantage of all their resources. And I wonder if Robbie Maximitz had mentioned that to his team, or Glenn Kennedy to his team, about maybe a curlier side and a straight side too as well. But our broadcast here and being able to go back and watch your games is also a huge resource, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Just to even see from a team standpoint, maybe your coach mentioned something about strategy. Some of you have an idea about what it looked like. Some of you didn't. To go back and see the actual position of the rocks and to be able to really see it and go back is incredible. And I know I've looked back on my games a lot and just seen, or even just the way that you're throwing it. If you have a little bit of an outward motion in your release, but you didn't see it, to be able to see it from this perspective is really nice and helpful.
Yeah, it's a really great tool for learning and making sure that you are able to learn from every game.
So Kaylee Sparks, being asked to play the run back, is able to hit just off nose of that corner guard, misses the double attempt at the back, but rolls to the center line, gives Desormeau an opportunity to draw behind, but does create an opportunity there to cover a little bit of the button. Now we talk about, Kate and Kaylee, the aspect of this broadcast and it being kind of a live look at the game. And we see our coaches at the back there, and not only are they both tracking stones or watching the game as it unfolds, but having this resource of being able to watch your game again on the live stream kind of allows both Robbie and Glenn to be able to do different types of coaching rather than just tracking stones.
Yeah, definitely. I actually I live in a house with a fellow U18 coach at this event, and he Glenn Ector for Team Yurko. He's constantly rewatching his Team Yurko games, even that he's watched them in person. He wasn't even playing, but he'll still go back and just see like if he misses anything. Great tool too if you have maybe some other coaching resources that aren't there with you. If maybe your coach is sick, they're also able to watch the game and go back and just make sure that you're learning from every loss and even every win.
So a wonderful shot by Team Desormeau to be able to fully bury behind that red guard as Kaylee Sparks does try to make the run back, just misses both yellow stones on her way by and leaves her shooter still partially covering that yellow stone. An unfortunate error on the over curl. An opportunity back to Team Desormeau. Just an inch over curl, and it makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was so close too. To just miss both of those yellows is tough.
Yeah, you could see the sweepers kind of tilt their head back, just in frustration. It's just so close, yet so far just to only touch that yellow.
So Molly Whitbread with her second stone being asked to close down that scoring area again by putting another stone at the top of the rings. This does look like it's over curling, and I think we are seeing that side with just a little bit of a slant, if not more of a dish. Talk a little bit about what that might mean for our viewers as they're looking at it on our screen, maybe noticing that side is curling a little bit more.
Yeah, so what we're seeing is that on that righty's out turn is that it's really coming in, especially near that center line. So when you're hitting that, throwing that draw path, they might need to open up the broom a bit more and those hits close to the center because those rocks are really finishing right at the end.
So Jordan in the rings as Siobhan McGriskin goes to throw her first stone without the hammer here, facing what looks like two. That red stone was promoted into the top of the 12-foot and usable at some point if need be. But Siobhan with a small bit of access to this rock, and just with the right weight, she might be able to get to the face of it with that curly side. What a great shot for Siobhan McGriskin, a great team shot with Kaylee and Livy sweeping that stone, able to remove the rock out of play and also stay partially buried. Wonderful attempt and a great outcome for Team McGriskin as they look to apply pressure to Abby Desormeau here in the fifth end. So would Abby be looking for a roll away here, or is she looking to get underneath that center line combination and the coverage there?
I think depending, don't want to jam that red on that back yellow if it is second shot. So just depending on if that red in the top 12 is outcounting that back yellow, you might not worry about it to get the roll under, but rolling away and sitting 2 here when you have more is pretty good to secure the deuce.
Both Savannah Ducka and Cameron Adams on the sweep, getting caught on that curly side and hitting her own guard through the rings, exposing both of the red ones and covering her second shot rock at the back of the rings as we see it. But Team McGriskin with the late advantage here, shot stone at the top of the 4. Coaches interaction. So you can see Jordan talk about all the options and most importantly, talk about the tolerance of the shot. We've been talking about this specifically at the U18 level, how vital tolerance or range within a shot for these athletes are as they're looking to be precise. Kate and Kaylee, can you talk a little bit about that conversation of tolerance that might come into hand here for Siobhan and for Jordan and for the sweepers as they're looking to put a lot of pressure on Abby with her last stone?
Yeah, this is definitely a key moment in the game here if they can really capitalize and put the pressure on Abby. So it's really important for the thrower to know, what's an acceptable miss here and like where they want it. And it's important for the sweepers and the line callers to be on the same page so that all 4 of you can really be focused in and try to make the shot the best as it can be, or at least on the right side of the miss.
So we see the sweep switch over to Kaylee as they're trying to get this rock to curl across the center line. It looks like they were able to get it just to the center line, not quite covering the shot stone, but leaving a small but available port for Abby Desormeau with her final rock here in the fifth end.
Yeah, they maybe just got caught thinking that that one would move as much as her first one on the other side, but if that side's a little bit straighter, it just didn't quite finish up as much as they wanted it to.
Now, Kate, weight is going to be super important here because we did mention it early on about that yellow rock being second shot at the back of the rings, but to just get through the port would also potentially leave a jam in play and only a single rather than that deuce.
Yeah, I definitely think Abby's in the position where they want to make sure, first and foremost, that they do secure their 1 here by making contact with that red and staying in the rings. But 2 would definitely be a good bonus, and it's definitely there, but you have to play it pretty tight on the line call to that outside yellow guard.
It looks like they're playing quite a bit of weight here to get through the port, as we do recognize this is the curlier side, and I have a hard time believing that that yellow corner guard as we see it right now is going to come into play with how much curl this side has decided to show us. Final stone for Abby Desormeau. Molly Whitbread liking it, calling the straight sweep. Rock is curling and it just wicks. Catching the center line guard and removing a few stones out of play. McGriskin is going to pick up a single steal here in the fifth end and take a 3-2 lead going into the sixth end. A turn of events. We will catch you back here after our commercial break.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline, join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50/50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
And welcome back to draw number 5 of the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist Provincial Championships. Our U18 champion will be decided tomorrow afternoon. But of course, there are some key differences in this event. Not only is it 8-end games, and not only do we have a page playoff, but we will also be crowning a champion and then sending 2 representatives from our province to the national championship too as well. So there is a benefit for just making that final game here on Sunday. And that is maybe what's in the mind for both of these teams too as well, is that it's not just having that record to get you to the final and then to win it, but there is kind of a silver lining for just getting to the final, as 2 representatives will be able to go to that national championship. My name is Evan Asmussen. I'm joined by Kate Ector and Kaylee Raniseth. We are coming down to the wire here with just a few ends to play as we enter our 6th end. Jordan Burnstead throwing that rock to the top of the 8-foot in that control zone. Desormeau looking to throw the corner guard. And we've seen back-to-back steals by McGriskin and a real change of pace from what our viewers may have looked at in the first 2 ends.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting here to watch Desormeau try to regroup here. It's hard after having 2 ends that maybe didn't go their way. Now it's becomes a mental challenge for them to get their heads back in it and make sure that they are still confident and able to play these ends out to try to get to their goal.
So Savannah Ducka's corner guard just slipping into the rings, and Siobhan asking Jordan to make the open hit here. I feel like that simple game that was being played for Team McGriskin early on is now going to come to their benefit, as they are 1 up on the scoreboard. Not necessarily a big difference, but definitely back-to-back steals does play an important part. Jordan Burnstead just over curling that stone there and throwing through the port. An opportunity for Desormeau to throw the corner guard. So Abby's electing to throw the corner guard on this stone that Savannah had just thrown with her first. Why might she play that? Oh, just kidding. She's hitting. See, you never know. And yet when you can't hear them too as well, which is something that we as broadcasters and as commentators don't have privy to, is hearing the conversation between the athletes. We do have to do a little bit of guess on some of the broom and watch their gestures. She did hit that stone. It's super hard to maintain 2 points here. And it is the sixth end. So what might Abby be thinking about electing to play the open hit rather than corner guard the stone thrown with the first rock?
Well, she might be thinking that they just had 2 ends get with a little bit less of a clean play and they didn't quite go as how they wanted. I think she's maybe thinking that she wants to make sure she scores here. So she's kind of eliminating the reds. And if you are able to maintain a split house and get your 2, that's good too. That's definitely would be the ideal scenario. But big thing for her, I think, is maybe making sure that she scores here in 6 or blanking, but maintaining control of this end.
So again, I talk highly of both Glenn Kennedy and Robbie Maximitz, playing against them for much of my own career and playing alongside Robbie Maximitz and getting to learn from him. But scoreboard management for our U18 athletes is super important and a great responsibility of all team members, including the coach. And we do see it being the sixth end. McGriskin does have the advantage on the scoreboard, but Desormeau has the hammer in this sixth end. How might that or should that play out for the remaining ends?
I think for Desormeau in the sixth end, you always want hammer. So looking to get a couple here in the sixth end just so that they get hammer again in 8, where McGriskin will have hammer in 7. So kind of that 2-to-1 hammer up type thing. And then just making sure that they're forcing in 7 so that they have hammer going in 8 would be ideal for Desormeau.
And a wonderful double by Livy Maximitz to remove both yellow stones of Team Desormeau and to sit the single stone there, biting the top of the 8-foot. A great shot by Livy. And you know what I have been impressed with since watching her throw that first stone in the first end? That young athlete is able to generate a ton of speed out of the hack and throw a heater of a takeout.
Yeah, it's a key shot to potentially make Desormeau either take the blank or take the force.
So we do have our first scoreboard final coming out of Sheet C. Emma DeSkiffert taking a very nice, I guess it would be 8-3 win over Sierra Wyatt. Emma DeSkiffert, of course, is the only team at this point sitting undefeated, now currently at 5-0. We have Elena Yurko with a 5-1 lead over Darby McMillan, finally getting up on the scoreboard in the 5th end. And Kieran Roa and Lila Cooey, Roa leading 3-1, Cooey having the hammer in the 6th end. We do have our feature game of Siobhan McGriskin against Abby Desormeau. Siobhan McGriskin currently sitting at 1-3 in the standings. Abby Desormeau at 3-1. McGriskin with the 3-2 lead, playing our 6th end, and an open house as Livy Maximitz makes that double peel to really change the landscape of our end as we see it. Kate and Kaylee, there are a ton of other games going on here in Leduc, but we also know that for our viewers sitting at home who are brought in by Curling Stadium's live stream, they have a ton of access to a bunch of games across not only our province, but the nation too, as well as we see last chance qualifiers going on in the men's and ladies play across our nation as adult teams are looking to earn their berths into their respective Briar and Scotty's potentials for their provincial championships. And of course, our mixed doubles Olympic trials final being played synonymously here as our feature game. We have Peterman and Gallant, who are both Alberta athletes now, leading Homan and Botcher, who are also Alberta team. 8-5, playing the last end of play. Peterman and Gallant have the hammer in this crucial last end, looking to secure their Olympic spot. Not just a trial spot, but go directly to the Olympics a year away from now, and a great opportunity. And we recognize too as well that Jocelyn has come up through the rankings of this U18, U15, U20 process, being a Canadian champion in her own right, Scotties and U20s. But that does provide a little bit of hope for some of these U18s as they see Jocelyn and Brendan both in this Olympic trials and trials final, doesn't it?
It sure
definitely.
does.
So the corner guard went up by Team Desormeau. A nice draw, just partially buried by Team McGriskin. The chase by Team Desormeau rolls out, and now we see Siobhan McGriskin with her first stone in the sixth end, having an opportunity to get buried again and to provide that little bit of pressure. And we have been seeing some clean ends, but our skips really applying the pressure to one another, with Team McGriskin having that advantage here in the last three ends so far. So Siobhan McGriskin asking Livy to curl this. Livy is the outside sweeper as we see it right now. Coming from that angle with her brushstrokes, just being able to promote a little bit of extra curl with that directional sweeping. It does get taken to the back of the forefoot, maybe not buried, but definitely edge to edge, and makes that attempt on hitting that redstone a little bit more complicated as they have to navigate the corner guard that they just placed with Molly. So Desormeau electing to draw here now. What's the thinking behind this play here, Kaylee?
I think honestly what Abby is thinking is that rock is behind the tee line, so not really a danger. I always think when you have hammer rocks behind the tee line, or kind of your friend, it is a little bit of backing for Abby if she needs to throw a draw, as well as Abby's probably thinking that she will have to throw a draw on her last. So if she can get comfortable with this path, with the speed of the ice right now, throw a draw, her first rock as well, gets her a little bit more prepared for her last rock.
I think she's also hoping that she'll be able to set up an opportunity for two here by making this really good. And then if it's perfectly frozen, that's going to make McGriskin's shot really hard.
Abby Desormeau with her first stone here in the sixth end, looking to draw or freeze that back red one and have an opportunity to score, if not, get a skip's deuce with her final stone. This rock does have to be made, though. Molly asking for the outside sweeper again to get that little bit of curl. And sweeper is able to drag it right to the face of that stone at the back of the forefoot. An excellent shot by Abby Desormeau. Those freezes are so difficult, aren't they? And they definitely are a team shot.
Yes, it's really vital, not only that, like your sweepers and line callers know where it needs to be, but also that they're talking to each other and really communicating on those shots. So that was really well done by the whole team.
So as we see Siobhan McGriskin get ready to throw her final stone here, equally important, we are just moments away from an opportunity here for Team Peterman and Team Gallant in our Olympic mixed doubles trials to have an open hit and send them directly to the Olympics as Team Canada. So McGriskin and Peterman both finding roots in this U18 championship. Same place, different times. Siobhan McGriskin here with the freeze attempt. Jocelyn Peterman with an open hit to send her and Gallant right to the Olympics. A dusting of both. Livy Maximit's trying to get a little bit of curl. It just chops off, leaving it. And Peterman and Gallant will handshake over Botcher and Homan. And it is Gallant and Peterman going off to the Olympics. Our Alberta champions, our national champions. Congratulations on behalf of Curling Alberta and Jocelyn being rooted here in the U18 championship. Well done. Tears all around for that family. Congratulations. And of course, we bring you back to Abby Desormeau as she looks to put our first deuce on the scoreboard here at our Curling Alberta Optimist Provincial Championship. Last rock of the sixth end. So sweepers on and off this, trying to clean it. It does look like it's going to catch their own stone at the back of the forefoot, and our first multiple point score is going to go up on the board for Team Desormeau. They are going to regain the lead 4-3 as we enter seventh end action. We're going to take you to commercial. We'll be back with you after our commercial break.
Hey Ben, what's the Aztec Safety online e-learning website again?
Yeah, that would be aztecsafety.com.
Fire extinguisher and firefighting, we'll send that one to Paul.
Ah, now here's a course I should probably take. Conflict resolution.
Power line safety. Yeah, I thought it might help me with my line calls. Did you know this Aztec website has over 100 safety courses?
Jeez. Aztec Safety online course. Ground disturbance. Could have used that a few seconds ago.
Shots.
No,
and we
I wouldn't
welcome you back to the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist Provincial Championship. My name is Evan Asmussen. I'm joined by Kate, Ector, and Kaylee Raniseth. We were just having a lovely conversation about some of the play here as the commercial break was going on, and we have been talking about how well played this game has been. And Kate and Kaylee, I mean, anything can happen at U18s. Anything can happen in regards to plan A's and plan B's, but both of these teams have managed their shot selection and shot making, and that's why we see such a tight scoreboard, isn't it?
Definitely. There's definitely been a lot of high quality execution in this game. It's really good to see.
And, you know, at the end of the last end, we did acknowledge and celebrate the win for Jocelyn Peterman and Brett Gallant. And, of course, this is really where curling starts here, is at these young developing ages where they have the opportunity to be sponges and take in all that they can about the game as they start to shape what curling is going to look like for them as a lifelong sport. But isn't it nice to know, as we're watching these teams live and in action, how safe and secure and well our sport is as we see these two teams really give it their all and make a ton of great shots? Savannah Dutka being asked to congest up that center line there as McGriskin has the hammer here in the 7th end. And we did talk about the importance of that theoretical tie with the hammers going in the even ends for Desormeau. And that score of 2 was really big for Desormeau. Kate, walk us through why that score of 2 again was so important and that understanding of the theoretical tie or the theoretical scoreboard play.
Yeah, that was incredibly crucial for Desormeau. Now they're able to come up 1 in the 7th, which means that they can play to 4th here. If they give McGriskin 1, it's tied, and they have hammer in that last end, which is a huge advantage to be able to throw that last rock in the last end.
So Jordan Burnstead here with the draw around makes an excellent draw to the top of the 8-foot. And for those of our viewers who are at home and who are recognizing the game, of course, we do have some rules that are synonymous with our adult play here. It is the 5-rock rule, and also our teams here at our provincial championship are playing with the no-tick rule too as well. So any rock in the free guard zone that is also touching the center line cannot be removed, not just out of play, but also off that center line. So very crucial for our leads to be very precise when thinking about their shot selection and their house setup. So Cameron Adams looking to freeze on that top red just thrown by Jordan Burnstead and just chops off a little bit, not getting the curl she needs, leaving an opportunity here for Livy Maximitz to make the hit and roll. So Siobhan asking Kaylee to get the curl sweep on this, just hitting it high side, making contact with the yellow stone, but rolling her shooter out of play, just narrowly missing, catching the backside of that red stone, leaves it at the top of the 8-foot and shot stone for the moment. So Kate and Kaylee, you've been curling for a long time too as well, and you recognize how important that control zone is for our rings. Talk to us a little bit more about how vital that top 8 rock by McGriskin is as an established stone here in the 7th end.
Yeah, so that rock is basically in the center of the control zone. Hard for Abby Desormeau to draw around, be completely buried and shot, but it's also in a great position for McGriskin if she needs to run it back, tap it. It's in a really great location. I mean, it is almost fully buried, so not much of a run back opportunity there, but still in a great shot as it's hard for Abby to even get around and to be shot.
And we did just see that there by Team Desormeau asking Cameron Adams to draw the top of the 4-foot. And she made an excellent shot, but just with that position of the red stone by Jordan, it makes it just that much more difficult for that yellow stone to get buried. And she made an excellent shot, but you can see on our presenting screen that it is still wide open with Jordan trying to get a curl sweep out of Livy Stone here. She makes contact, excellent sweep. An excellent shot. That was probably the best that Livy was going to be able to do. And McGriskin here still sitting shot rock at the top of the 8. So the one benefit here that Desormeau has after watching Cameron throw that rock to the top of the 4-foot is that they now know the path to get there. But probably to get buried, Molly is going to have to be either at T line or below the T line. And I do have a correction on the pronunciation, and my greatest apologies. It is Jordan Bumstead, not Burnstead. But we're just doing our personal best out here, like all the athletes too as well, providing you color commentary and an opportunity for our viewers at home to take advantage of getting an understanding, and for our athletes to look back on the sheet and be able to capture a little bit more of the game themselves. My name is Evan Asmussen. I'm joined by Kate and Kaylee. We do have a barn burner of a game as we see Desormeau up 4-3 without the hammer here in the 7th end, as our first coaches interaction by Robbie Maximitz going into the last few rocks here of our 7th end. So Livy Maximitz on the curl sweep here, trying to catch a little bit of that yellow stone. Does make contact and some separation too as well. Rolls off and leaves her shooter sitting there for maybe third. It looks like red is shot stone at the top of the 4th with yellow sitting second shot. An opportunity here for Desormeau to make the hit and roll. She is having a coach's interaction with Glenn Kennedy. So after conversation with Glenn Kennedy here, it looks like Team Desormeau is electing to play the double off their own yellow stone and hit half rock or so and remove both red stones. Molly Whitbread just a little bit wide, but plan B comes off the outside red stone and just nudges their own yellow shooter, promoting that red stone a little bit further into the 4-foot, but creating some great angles right now for Desormeau as they are ending the 7th end without the hammer.
Yeah, those 2 yellow rocks in the top 8-foot are really key for Desormeau right now to give them some control in this end.
And that just goes back to that advantage of having the control zone early in the end and closing down that scoring area. And Kaylee just throwing a little bit wide, not happy with that throw, missing the yellow stone in the rings. Red still remains shot stone, but an opportunity for Desormeau to utilize some of these angles. So we saw for a short moment Molly Whitbread use the end of her broom to kind of gauge how much of that red stone was visible from the hack. But it looks like they're changing their shot selection and maybe playing the tap.
Yeah, chasing that red would be pretty precise, and there's a lot less room for error. So I don't mind playing this side. It's a little bit more open for them.
It makes me wonder if Desormeau recognizes those center line rocks that they placed early on with Savannah and how there's that cluster in those combinations at the top of the rings. And if they can get one tapped here to the top of the button fully buried, it is going to be challenging for McGriskin not only to score multiple, but even just to score.
Yeah, definitely.
So Cameron and Savannah letting Molly know that it is a little bit heavy. Taps it on the high side and just a little bit deep, but does promote it to the back of the forefoot, fully buried for shot stone. And an excellent outcome for Team Desormeau without the hammer. That stone just promoted by Abby Desormeau really makes this shot a key shot if McGriskin is going to want to score this end. And tolerance now comes into play as hopefully McGriskin and Bumstead had an opportunity to talk about where this rock can go and where they might have some opportunities with her last stone. Kate, where would you like to see this stone be placed?
It's pretty precise. You kind of need to get in and around there, that yellow on the center line there, and you can come down right back to the yellow in the back four, and you kind of need to in order to get buried, but then you're also going to leave the T line open. So really anywhere on the T line would be really nice right now. You can maybe show a bit and hope that if they try to chase it, it'll come back onto their yellow. But they got to get it by first.
An excellent sweep by Olivia Maximitz and Kaylee Sparks as they are able to drag that stone to the top of the forefoot. It does look like it just came up a little bit short, and yellow might still be shot stone at the back. But they do have that yellow at the back of the forefoot surrounded with access currently to both red stones.
Yeah, she's definitely given herself some options now for her last one, having a yellow tap on or a red tap on either side now.
We talked about that awareness that Jordan has at such that young age too as well, but she's super engaged with all the rocks that are as they lie here in the house, and being able to keep Livy Maximitz and Kaylee Sparks on that sweep was super important because getting by that does create this opportunity to surround that yellow stone. Had that over curled, Desormeau would have had a much easier a decision in deciding which red rock they want to block off for McGriskin in her final rock. So it looks like Desormeau is planning to play the guard on the red stone just thrown by Siobhan McGriskin, which is a great call as it changes the throw and changes the path that McGriskin might have to make for her last stone here in the 7th end.
Yeah, you never want to give the other skip the same shot twice.
So there is an opportunity for Team McGriskin to score here, but it does look like they're going to have to navigate a few things. Not only are they going to have to navigate that center line combination and clusters, you can only see about half of the rock as we see it, maybe even a little bit less coming out of the hack that Siobhan is going to throw from. But we also recognize from earlier on in the game that this side is definitely the curlier side too as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky spot. And you got to throw the right weight here too. You have a pretty small zone to tap it to.
You know, Kaylee and Kate, we do recognize that too as well. As the stones start to curl a little bit more, that speed does come out of it. And if it's curling because of the shape of the sheet, that's going to add a little bit more of pressure to Jordan as she's guiding this rock into the rings. Final stone by Siobhan McGriskin here in the 7th end, looking to score by promoting that stone at the top of the forefoot to the top of the button. Really sweeping hard, just wicks off the top guard there. Are they able to utilize it and get it into the rings? And it's just going to slip behind. And our third point that it is a steal of 1 yellow. Team Desormeau is going to go up 5-3 into our last end of play here as we head into commercial break.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston Pizza at home.
We welcome you back to our draw number 5, final end of the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist Provincial Championship. It is our U18 Provincial Championship, and our 2 teams representing Alberta at the National Championship. And our Provincial Champion will be crowned tomorrow afternoon. We have our feature game of Team Desormeau taking on Team McGriskin. And after a doozy of a 7th end, we have Desormeau stealing another point and taking the score and the lead 5-3. Now, Kate and Kaylee, we have been watching this whole entire game, and we have seen some open ends and we have seen some complicated ends, and we do know that 2 points is still within reach, having the 5 rock rule in play and the no tick rule in play as well.
Yeah, I think this will be a really crucial end just for Team Desormeau to eliminate as many Team McGriskin's rocks as possible, just so that the deuce is harder. Also, just making sure that they're making the play to the center to kind of force McGriskin into playing in the center.
Now, a very typical beginning end for both teams as Savannah Ducka is able to put that stone beautifully at the top of the 8 foot, and Bumstead be able to throw that corner guard, and game is on. Adams and Whitbread sweeping that stone almost frozen to the face of that yellow. And why might they have elected to put 2 into the house at this point in the end?
I think you're up 2. They want to position themselves here to force, so they don't want to get anything too cluttered. A center guard right now, while it seems like it would help you if you don't have hammer, it could also give room for McGriskin to aim for a deuce, especially late in the end. They could go around that center if it's still there. So it's not a bad idea to just kind of keep it open and really focus on getting a force here.
So a hack weight shot here for Jordan as they're looking to make the small hit and roll off the stone just thrown by Dutka. Does look like it's having a hard time climbing up that center line, hitting it on the high side, but definitely splitting and spreading around those yellow stones at the top of the rings. Not a bad outcome for Team McGriskin. So Adams looking to remove the stone just thrown by Bumstead out in the 12-foot. Maybe get a little bit of a roll to the center line and cut down that scoring area, as we do recognize that McGriskin is going to have to find a way to score 2. Now, there is a small stagger that she left with that shooter stone. Do you think that McGriskin would ever play to move some of those around?
I think that's definitely an option. I don't think they ever want to completely remove those stones just because it will be good backing for them. But I think it would be smart just with the position of those yellow rocks, just to tap them, move them back forward, just to give her a little bit more options, leave their shooter right in front of those.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty tricky for McGriskin to score right now with those 2 yellows cluttering the 4-foot.
So McGriskin electing to make a play on the rock that is partially buried behind the red corner. This rock is thrown a little bit wide, but plan B brought into play as it does chisel off of the center line stone and rolls behind for second shot. And in behind that yellow stone there. Excellent outcome for Livy Maximitz and Team McGriskin, but not secure in their score just yet. So Adams is attempting the peel, however, sets it back just a little bit wide of the broom, and on that straight side coming up from the center line to the left as we see it, getting caught in that little bit of a trough or that little bit of a trench in a path and not being able to make contact with the corner guard. What I did like to see out of Abby Desormeau, though, is the turn that she chose for that corner guard and that peel.
Yeah, it was definitely crucial to make sure that they were never going to run that red into the house. So I agree that turn was a very good, very wise decision.
So Livy Maximitz with her final stone here in the 8th end, being asked to address that stone at the top of the 4-foot. Jordan on the curl sweep or the outside sweep, trying to catch a little bit more contact of that stone. It does hit it just off nose, rolls to the wing, and looks like it's going to hang on into the 12-foot. You know, we haven't seen it so far this game, Kate and Kaylee, but those little biters out towards the wings are hanging on to the 12-foot somehow and sometimes do get brought back into play.
Oh, they definitely do get brought back into play a lot of the time, for sure. As the opposing team, sometimes you are worried about that, depending on how many of your stones there are in the house.
And that's so, like you said, wise of Siobhan to recognize that keeping that shooter is around as they're trying to hang a 3-point on the board to win the game, but most importantly, score 2 to take this to an extra end. The peel is made, and there are no guards in play as we see McGriskin take control of the house back again with the hammer being down 2 points. So we see our coaches' interaction here for Team McGriskin as Robbie Maximitz comes out to have that conversation and kind of walk through the thinking process with Siobhan. It is their interaction for the end. So Robbie recognizing that this is a crucial moment in the decision making and how they're going to map out 2 points for sure, but also keep 3 points alive. And it looks like they're taking a look at this yellow stone at the back of the 8-foot and trying to find ways potentially to bring that stone that Livy had just thrown into the mix. As Kaylee Sparks is being asked to throw control weight here.
Yeah, I think that was a wise interaction. I know that Siobhan was looking at that top 8 yellow. Sometimes you do want to hit those top ones. You don't want to worry so much about the ones behind T, but in that case, it's kind of guarding their red rock right now. So you don't really want to mess with it if you don't have to.
So Kaylee Sparks with the open hit, rolls to the back of the button there, and does leave Team McGriskin at the time sitting first and second shot and the tying point. So Kate and Kaylee, you would say that this is all about maintenance now for Team McGriskin as they're watching Desormeau try to navigate their last few stones of the end.
Yeah, definitely. They've got their rocks in play, so it's a matter of whether or not they can make them count.
Molly Whitbread making contact with the stone at the back of the 4-foot, but rolling out. And there are no more coach interactions for Team McGriskin this end. That being said, they do have their shot stone fully covered by that top yellow and a rock hanging on to the side of the 12-foot. Decision time for Team McGriskin. Kaylee Sparks with her final stone in the 8th end, looking to split the rings and to create some separation with her red stones. And still try to find a way to also sit 2. Does look like it's taking some of that curl coming off of the left-hand side of the sheet across the center line. Sweepers do like it as they're guiding that rock to the tee line. And leaving it just at the top of that tee line and maybe clustering those rocks on the side, but there's definitely a thin chance at a double. It doesn't look like it's there. And a great outcome for Team McGriskin. So what's more important here, Kate? Are we looking for the double off on the side to remove those red stones, or are we looking to make sure that our shooter being thrown by Desormeau stays in play or becomes shot stone.
Yeah, I think you want your shooter to stay in play. I think that puts a little bit more pressure on McGriskin. It makes them look at something. If you make the double and you roll out here, then McGriskin's just able to throw that same draw that she just threw. Whereas if you make her look at the hit, there's maybe a bit more of a possibility that she rolls out or gives you some kind of opportunity. You might force McGriskin to make that hit on your top 8 rock too. So I think you give yourself a bit more of a chance here staying in the rings.
So contact is made, and the double is just narrowly missed. However, that shooter stone does land at the back of the forefoot and definitely gets closer to that red rock that was shot, but no longer shot for the moment. A great outcome.
Very nice shot here. With that roll now, it might be a little bit difficult for McGriskin to hit this and not set up a double on her rock back 8.
And again, I really liked the turn that Abby chose for that shot. She did take the curlier side, but it does guarantee that that rock would have curled up and for sure made contact, if not got to that right spot like it did. So we're seeing some wise choices out of Desormeau. We see Siobhan now taking the straighter turn here to make contact with this yellow stone. Calling hard for the curl sweep here in a straight spot by Livy Maximus. McGriskin trying to make contact with that stone at the back of the forefoot, just catches a narrow piece of it, removes both stones out of play. Red is shot for the moment, fully buried behind that yellow stone at the top of the 8. And McGriskin is looking to find a way to turn this end into a multiple score. Great sweep by Maximus to get that last little bit of curl as it just narrowly touched it. So, Kate and Kaylee, walk us through these last 2 rocks here for both teams as Desormeau is choosing her final shot of the 8th end, being up 2 points without the hammer.
Well, you have the option of hitting, which it looks like she does, just to eliminate that 3rd point. So she could draw around to that red. She has elected to play the hit, which I would as well, just to eliminate that 3rd point. You never want to mess with your top yellow as well. Like you could play that run, but if you pick it out, that's an open 3. So just playing, again, wise, eliminating that 3rd point for Team McGriskin.
Yeah, making sure that they're not giving McGriskin a shot for the win is crucial here. Forcing the extra is big for Desormeau because then they'd have hammer in the 9th.
So Desormeau with her final shot here in the 8th then does make contact but loses her shooter. However, it does leave McGriskin with the shot stone at the back of the 4-foot or the back of the 8-foot and an open draw for 2. Siobhan has been very logical and very methodical in her processes throughout the whole entire game. I've noticed that her and Jordan do a really good job at putting the broom in the right place, having the conversation about the path, and she's going to need to draw on that logic and that experience here, as it's been a while since she has had to make a draw to the 4-foot. Siobhan McGriskin and her final stone here in the 8th end, looking to capitalize and to score 2, taking this rock to an extra end. Sweepers like it early. Bumstead in the house, taking a look at that yellow rock again, just to make sure she knows where this rock can absolutely be. Sweepers are pressure cleaning this stone right into the rings, leaning on that broom. No doubt about it, Siobhan McGriskin and Team McGriskin draw to the top of the button. It is 2 points going up on the board. We do have a tie game. We are taking this to an extra end. We will catch you back here at our U18 Provincial Championship after our commercial break.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Curling Alberta's 50/50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.
Wow. We're back in action here for 9th and extra end action. And I'm having a morning, my friends. I've got names wrong. I've got score updates incomplete. Coming off of my own winter break as it is. New year, new me. Not off to a great start. But that being said, our champion will be crowned on Monday and not on Sunday, as we do have almost a week long curling event here at the U18 Provincial Championship. My name is Evan Asmussen. We are in Leduc, Alberta, brought to you by Curling Stadium Live. Tons of curling going on here in our week of action. Our feature game is between Team Desormeau and Team McGriskin. You are looking at the extra end, and a vital one at that is Desormeau looks to maintain a winning streak and keep themselves low in the loss column. And McGriskin looking to keep themselves with some momentum after their win from last night. See a perfect center guard by Jordan Bumstead, putting it right on that center line in the no-tick zone as Savannah Ducka just throws a little bit heavy to the back of the 8-foot. Ladies, this has been a match so far, has it not?
It definitely has. It's a really tight one. It's always an interesting game when it goes to an extra end, and it's a really important one, too, for both teams here in the standings.
So Team McGriskin recognizing they are going to have to generate a steal, throwing the perfect center guard first with Jordan's first rock. It does land about halfway and having the option to either throw the double center, but recognizing that that Yellowstone came deep in the rings, electing to throw the freeze or the perfect draw to the top of the button. A great shot by Jordan. It does slip just to the back of the button with some backing in play, and game is on here in our final end of curling. So Dutka looking to put this stone frozen to the red rock, just thrown by Bumstead. Sweepers are managing it right to the top of the button, an excellent shot. And things are now going to start to get more complicated for McGriskin if they are going to try to generate the steal here in our extra end. So Livy Maximit's looking to freeze again to the stone just played by Team Desormeau to create some complexity here early on. Sparks and Bumstead looking to get a little bit more distance on that stone and curl at the same time, just coming up a little bit short, but not a bad outcome for Maximit's and Team McGriskin.
No, I definitely think that was a smart throw. I think that being light there was always the right way to miss that.
So now a change of tactics for Team Desormeau as they're able to now start peeling the rocks out of the free guard zone. The 5-rock rule has now elapsed. And Adams just missing that peel on the over curl side, leaving that rock along the center line in play. Red is shot at the moment, and the stealing point in play for McGriskin as they look to complicate that center line a little bit further. So feedback from McGriskin to just get over and off. Line looks great for Maximit's here, trying to keep some kind of a gap between those two guards. Does overcurl the center line just a little bit, and there is some separation, but it does leave Desormeau an opportunity to make a double peel, but a complicated one at that. Adams does make contact with both stones, just clipping that second guard, moving it just off of the center line, but keeping all of the rocks and their rock on the button covered for the moment. A good attempt, but doesn't really change the situation for Desormeau. Kaylee Sparks is going to look to replace that rock along the center line. So Kaylee finding the right line, but it does come in a little bit heavy and sits frozen to the face of that center line stone, does making it a little bit easier for Desormeau to make the double peel. So needing a curl sweep to make contact with it, removes the back stone of that frozen combination, leaving a rock along the center line, and positions in favor for Team McGriskin at the moment. So Kate and Kaylee, now if you're Team McGriskin, what are you trying to do here, thinking at the last 3 stones of this end?
Well, it will take 1 or 2 stones just to get shot with that yellow stone being top button. So making sure that they don't leave it to last minute to draw in, tapping that yellow. So even with McGriskin's first tapping it so that they have the higher position on that yellow stone, but making sure not to tap it too much to where it is onto the yellow or onto their red, sorry. So, and Abby Desormeau just got to keep peeling, hoping that she has a chance for that yellow to tap it.
So a missed opportunity by McGriskin as Kaylee Sparks does come up a little bit light in a hogged rock late in the 9th end. And another double peel attempt by Desormeau, just picking off the single guard and leaving that vital red stone in play at the top of the 12-foot. Not much has changed here in the last few rocks as they exchange peels and guards. And Siobhan McGriskin with her first stone looking to put up another good guard and make the situation much more complicated for Desormeau going into skip stones. So we see Siobhan McGriskin over curl her centerline guard attempt and leaving that stone at the top of the 12-foot open. As we see our coach's interaction by Glenn Kennedy just prior to Abby Desormeau's first stone. Desormeau here in the 9th end with the hammer. And now they have a really good opportunity to make that stone at the top of the button shot stone.
Yeah, Desormeau's really going to need to capitalize on this moment because they have not had a shot at that red back button yet. And with only 2 rocks left, they're running out of time.
So a crucial shot here for Abby Desormeau as she's looking to open up that center line and to gain access to the McGriskin stone at the back of the button. The saving grace she does have here as a team is that they do have that yellow stone just biting the top of the button. Second shot, but really needing this stone to make contact with the red stone and open up that center line. And an excellent shot by Abby Desormeau as she's able to run that red stone into the combination onto the button and keep not only her shooter stone in play, remove the back red stones, and now sitting 3 yellow stones with McGriskin attempting and waiting to throw her final stone. What an excellent shot and a great bailout for Team Desormeau.
Yes, that really puts the pressure on McGriskin now. She has to make this last one. She has to get shot here to make Abby throw her last.
You know, Kate and Kaylee, I think back to end number 4 and number 5 where Abby Desormeau just missed her final stone in both of those ends to take advantage of some of key moments to put some more points on the board, but it all is erased so far, at least, with the shot that she just made. Siobhan McGriskin looking to apply a little bit of last-minute pressure after an incredible make by Abby Desormeau. She's going to need to be shot to make Desormeau throw her last stone. McGriskin with her final stone of end number 9. So sweeping for line here as Team McGriskin is trying to make sure they don't get too close to that stone at the top of the 12-foot. Sweepers of Maximits and Sparks really trying to get the most out of it. It overcurls and does come up a little bit short. Handshakes as Desormeau will not have to throw their final stone of the end. You can put 3 points up on the board for Team Desormeau as an 8-5 finish here in an extra end. Desormeau will take the win and improve their record to 4-1 as McGriskin falls to 4 losses in the standings. And we will be back with you this evening for Draw 6 of coverage at the 2025 Curling Alberta Optimist Provincial U18 Championship in Leduc, Alberta. My name is Evan Asmussen. Thank you so much, Kate and Kaylee, for joining me today in our coverage. We did our best. It wasn't the greatest all the time, but it sure showed up to be an amazing game by our athletes today. And we will head off to commercial, and we will join our spectators back live on the air through Curling Stadium. Everybody take care, be well, and enjoy your new year and our provincial championship coverage. Have a lovely afternoon.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
So you're a pizza person, but you're married to a wing person, and your kids are salad people? You can't pick your fam, but with over 50 menu items to choose from, you can make them all happy. Order today and enjoy Boston pizza at home.
Curling Alberta's 50-50 supports grassroots curling with a jackpot of at least $100,000. I know! Brace yourself. Join us aged 18 plus in nurturing these future curling stars. Support grassroots curling with Curling Alberta.